All right, everybody, welcome back to DiveVibe. Thanks for coming. Today we are going to be reacting to the last dive of Yuri Lipski that he recorded on his camera before he perished in the blue hole in Dahab, Egypt. This is a dive site that's kind of known as the diver's graveyard or diver's cemetery because it's claimed a lot of lives. If you go there, I've not been, but if you go there, they have a wall with a bunch of plaques or headstones, if you will, of divers that dove there and didn't make it. I really want to dive there, but I'm trained for that level of diving. I mean, you could dive the blue hole recreationally, but if you want to go down into the arch, which is about 185 feet deep and is an 85-foot run through the arch to the other side, you need technical training, overhead training, all kinds of training. This is not a joke. This is the real deal. And I tell people all the time, the ocean does not care who you are. It will take your life. Okay? So Yuri was not trained for these dives. I'm a rebreather instructor, dive instructor, tech instructor. I teach trimix. So that's the information that I'm going to be drawing upon during the course of this video. Basically, with this video, Yuri wanted to do this dive. He wanted to do this deep dive without the proper training. And at that point, he was just so in over his head, he couldn't even possibly perceive how in over his head he was. So he said, I'll just do a bounce dive. So suppose it's either he was trying to go through the arch or he was trying to do a bounce dive to set a new personal depth record, which is, these hero dives where you try to set a new depth record. It's incredibly dangerous and foolish. If there's no reason to dive there, then what are you doing? It's a lot of money to do these deep dives, so don't waste it. It's either to see something or for training or practice, whatever. These deaths are pointless, and they continue to happen. It's not the first time where I've heard about somebody trying to do a bounce dive to set a personal depth record. It's pointless. Don't do it. This video will tell you why. So I'll get into it. I've kind of already wasted a bunch of time talking, but I've been kind of meaning to react to this dive for a long time. I feel it's a really good teaching point. So even though it's kind of a sad video, if you're not into this type of thing, this video isn't like my normal ones. It doesn't have a happy ending. So just trying to make the most out of this tragedy and prevent it from happening to somebody else. Most YouTube channels that are centered around diving have talked about this dive or this video at some point. So I guess it's my turn. So let's get started. Happened in the year 2000, which was only like 5 years ago, right? It's definitely not 2021 now. All right, so it looks like he's attaching a red filter to his camera, which isn't going to help a whole lot when he goes real deep, because all it's going to do is block light. Some other divers here. I don't know what happens to these guys throughout the video, but he doesn't appear to be diving with a buddy. Although, if you watch other videos about this incident, there's a technical diver there that actually met with Yuri and advised him not to do this dive. So he was told, I believe, on more than one occasion, not to attempt this dive without the proper training. So whether or not he had a buddy and he just lost his buddy, I'm not sure. It doesn't appear that he had a buddy with him, although there are some divers around. So it looks like he's still pretty close to the surface. I think he just began his descent. So things to consider with this type of dive. How much weight do you have? Does your BCD have enough weight to lift it? Does your BCD have enough... sorry, not weight, positive buoyancy. Does your BCD have enough positive buoyancy to lift it at depth when you've got your wetsuit crushed down and you don't have any of that buoyancy to rely on? Are you going to be able to ditch your weight? Is your weight ditchable? Is it non-ditchable? Me personally, I primarily dive without ditchable weight, and that's because I don't do dives like this. I keep my rig not trim, but I keep my rig balanced, so I'm not overweighting myself if I can help it. And I have alternate methods of inflating my BCD, whether it be... or alternate methods of creating positive buoyancy, sorry. Whether it be a lift bag, not ideal. A dry suit is ideal. Counter lungs from your rebreather. Somebody's banging on their tank. Counter lungs from their rebreather. You can create positive buoyancy with that. It does look... he kind of seem to be following this person. I wonder if that is his buddy. But this dive, as it goes on, it becomes apparent that... wow, what's that? It becomes apparent that there is some kind of problem. Something keeping him from establishing some positive buoyancy, or at least neutral buoyancy, so he can swim out of there. It appears like he couldn't swim out. So right now we can hear him breathe in. It looks like he's still fairly shallow. Water, hard to tell. The water's pretty blue. I don't know what that noise is. If it's something to do with his breathing. I've watched this video several times. I forgot to mention, I watched this video like years and years ago, before I was ever a technical diver, and said to myself, well, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not funny, sorry. Whenever you guys see me laughing at something dark, I was an Army medic. We just have a dark sense of humor. It's a coping mechanism. Just please forgive me. I don't mean it. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Alright. Looks like we're going deeper. Descending at a pretty good clip, it looks like. Really moving. I'd love to know what depth he's at right now. So as he's going down, everything on his body is compressing. Wetsuit's compressing. Air in his BCD is compressing. The gas coming out of his regulator is compressing. Oop, computer's not happy. So he's breathing more gas with every breath. He's going to need to compensate. If he's not, I'm not hearing him add air to his BCD. Oh, I see the bottom. Now, from the other videos that I've watched to kind of research this, I believe the bottom is 81 point. Wow. Is that meters? It must be. Oh my god. He's extremely deep. Holy hell. On a single tank on air? The effects of nitrogen narcosis at that depth, at least for me, would be profound. I'd say that probably the deepest I've dove on air is about 150 feet. Not to brag, that's nothing to brag about. It's pretty stupid. Although some agencies do train for that. And at 150 feet, I was definitely experiencing nitrogen narcosis. He's just on the bottom now, so I'm assuming he's got no buoyancy. Seems like maybe he's trying to fix it. He just seems incredibly disoriented, just flopping around on the bottom. I've heard people talk about how they see this red and they think that it's blood in the water, like he got attacked by a shark. I don't think so. In fact, I'm positive that's not it, because that's, you know, they found the body and there were no shark bites on it. It's the light combined with the red filter, just making it super dark. Now the video's cut off. Not sure why. More than likely, I heard that the housing that his camera was in was rated for 75 meters, and he was at 85 meters. So more than likely, some funky stuff was going on with the buttons. I've gotten down to, you know, 100 meters before and had a dive light that's supposed to be rated for that depth, but the buttons are no longer functional at, like, you know, 275 feet when they're supposed to be good to 330 feet. Wow. Just a completely pointless death for no reason. Let's talk a little bit about the science of what's going on here, the physics, the physiology. So he's at, let's see, last depth that I saw was something like 85 meters. So if he's diving with air, which I assume he was, I cannot work in metric. I need to work in imperial if I'm just doing this off the top of my head. So 200, let's call it 270 feet. That's where he was. Although I believe when they recovered his body, he was over 100 meters deep. So the idea is that, I guess, he got down there, was so narked, and started tumbling because he couldn't add gas to his BCD to get some positive buoyancy or neutral buoyancy. So 270. So the partial pressure of the air he was breathing at that depth is 1.9, which is quite high. Typically with nitrox, we dive nitrox to a maximum partial pressure of oxygen to a 1.4, and the contingency maximum operating PO2 is 1.6, and we use a 1.6 for deco to accelerate your deco. So if you're breathing pure oxygen at 20 feet, it's about 1.6. And he was breathing gas at a 1.9. So it didn't really look to me like he was convulsing, but convulsing was a very real possibility. It seems to me that the narcosis was just so overwhelming, and his BCD I've heard that his BCD may not have been functioning properly. I didn't hear anything to indicate that. It didn't sound like he was using his BCD all that much towards the end of the video, rather. So normally I do, at the end of one of these videos, I do 3 ups and 3 downs, meaning 3 things that went well, 3 things that went bad, or at least try to come close to that. In this video, it's just all bad. There's nothing good. He's just shouldn't have done the dive. If you want to dive in the blue hole, right on, man. Have fun, but don't descend straight down to 85 meters without any kind of training for that type of depth. It's just sad. It's just a tragedy. There's no reason for it. So I'm not just gonna keep harping on this. You guys get it. It was dumb. Don't do that. If you want to do technical diving, awesome. We'd love to have you in our community. Take a course. If you're looking for a course, you can take one from me if you want to. Contact Jack's Diving Locker, or email me. I'll have an email down in the description. If you liked this video, let's just say, I'm sure no one liked it. If you got something out of this video, hit the like button, please. It helps me out. That's very helpful. And if you'd like to see more dive videos and maybe some of my happier stuff, hit the subscribe button and check out the other stuff on my channel. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to see some of my more educational type videos like deco planning and stuff like that. You can check out my Patreon in the description. There's a link there. You can support me on there. Very helpful. It's like starts at $5 a month. Other than that, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. And thanks so much for diving with me today. And I'll see you in the water.